Alright, everybody. Welcome to another meeting. I'm gonna shut the door. I'm gonna be in here doing something. Okay, now everybody, so remember all that stuff that I was telling you yesterday? Remember all that stuff that I was talking to you about? I want to take it all back. I mean, not all of it, but I want to take it back. Do you really think that what you heard, what you remember hearing yesterday, was going to truly stick around for my beliefs? Do you think I truly believed what I was saying? Yes, I did. I did believe it. For a time. That belief was handed to me from the external and not the internal. I have a Libra moon. I don't want conflict. And I'm stepping into that now. I don't want to fight. I don't want to have an argument. I don't like arguments between people. And, in relationships, I mean, we all like there to be peace in our relationships. I can argue very well. And I'm going to admit that it's fun to be in the moment with the passion that I have when I am in a situation when I am arguing something to somebody else. Here's the key thing that you need to remember. Expressing equals arguing. Simple as that. Okay? If you are expressing somebody, you are arguing against them. That's what you need to know. Okay? So, if expressing and expressing, if it's been confusing, then that is, really what it comes down to is you're arguing and you're using something to argue and prove your points to somebody else. So that's what it is. Sometime I will pull out that secret weapon and you'll hear it on one of my YouTube videos. You'll hear it. You'll hear it. It'll be out there. It will be out there. I've already put out there that I do this. I have. I put it out there. But not in a way where it would look bad. If I was a parent of a child, there would be limits. But then there would also be me as a parent saying, you know what? Try this and see what's going to happen. Why not? Just do it. Just do it. See what'll happen. Because I honestly don't know what the results of what that child will do will be. So I would allow the child many opportunities to find out for him or herself a variety of things, including what's right and wrong. Now, I would step in if I needed to and, draw good boundaries and all those kinds of things, but I would not inhibit the child. This is the very, very first thing that you need to know about when you're raising a child is you're raising somebody.
Grab something very quickly, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Please.
See?
Alright, sorry.
So, you're raising your child. And you are allowing the child to be who they want to be and do what they want to do. I'm so against invalidating the child's feelings, inhibiting them, and gaslighting people's feelings. For example, I've told you about this before. I was with my grandparents this weekend and I was gaslit. Gaslit. If I have to question my own truth, it's because of, others in that kind of situation. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, the North Node this summer is not going to move into Libra. It will move into Aries. And I need to get my beliefs back where they were. Otherwise, I don't know how I can make a video about the North Node being in Aries. You have to stay true to your beliefs. And don't let the outside world shape or, define or tamper with those beliefs. Unless it is just as you go along. Reach inside. What do you truly believe? Because when you are aligned with what you truly believe, you can better see both and. Both. Compassion and understanding and collaboration and assertion, all those things. Both of those are like this. Maybe the self-assertion piece would be a little bit higher than the relationship piece, because it is yourself that you're living your own life, and but in general, they're equal. And life is about both and. And when I'm aligned with my true beliefs, I see the both and. I can recognize the both and. Draw healthy boundaries when you're in a situation where others are projecting their experiences onto you. I'm going to be up close and personal. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. Now, you can express a great variety of people. Here's the deal. Here's a condition that I'm going to in place. You can express family members, but the goal needs to be express. You are being, assertive in putting up an argument because you want to be closer to them, because you want to, because you want peace and love and all those things. So it is really the both and here. What wasn't surprising to me, maybe some of you know this, some of you don't. I go see a therapist every couple of weeks to talk about what is going on mentally and emotionally. I was talking to her, and she was very understanding. Listen to me. You all know me well enough. Tell me, for one moment that I'm immature. Tell me for one moment that I'm not self-aware of what I'm saying. And on the same side of that coin, tell me I'm not true to myself. Tell me I'm not going to express myself. All the I want to stir the pot. I want to stir the pot. I think I just went in a kind of wrong direction with what I was saying yesterday. When I was saying to be with people whose nodes are opposite you. And yes, that will be part of what you will be doing. Part of what you will be living with. Part of your experience. But here is the second part. You need to find somebody who either has their Saturn conjunct or at and around the same degree or in the same sign as your sun or moon. Or you need to find somebody, with, say you have a Saturn, the real target of this is to find somebody whose Saturn is at and around the same degree, conjunct, or in the same sign as your sun or moon. That's going to be the next challenge. And it may be a challenge. Because I want you to experience what it feels like to be in a Saturn-Sun conjunct relationship. I want you to experience you have a sun sign, but then someone's Saturn is sitting right on top of it. Here's what you need to know. I'm an Aries. I was born with my sun at 16 degrees of Aries. Lo and behold, I was looking at the degree of my grandma's Saturn in Aries. It was at the same degree. The same degree, minutes away, but it's the same degree. Isn't that profound? Isn't that amazing? Makes a lot of sense. Now, there's other aspects and other things going on, but just picking at this piece of the puzzle. I guess, I'm not afraid to say this, just so you know. I guess I've been feeling let me just be honest and genuine with all of you. I have been feeling like I have been, limited in, some way, and there's always seemed to be something, some kind of conflict. And I have been feeling inhibited. Okay, so I am a Sun in Aries, Moon in Libra, Mercury in Taurus, Jupiter in Virgo, all my placements, and I feel inhibited. And that's how I've been feeling. Try as I might, issues come up. They just do. Issues come up, and I have something that I want to come out of that issue, and I have feelings and thoughts, and I want there to be a result from what I am saying and putting forth, so I will express that. I'm not going to bottle it in. I'm not going to bottle it in. I'm going to say, I'm going to, if anyone wants to do this to me and tell me something otherwise, I'm going to affirm over and over again, I will not bottle it in. I will not bottle it in. I'm affirming something so that you are not going to shape me in a way that I don't want to be shaped, so that I'm not living from the outside in. I'm living from the inside out. Taurus Energy 101. I had that realization now. This is the next step. This is the next opportunity. The next opportunity is that perhaps for the rest of the lunar cycle, starting right at the beginning of June until the middle of June, June 17th, 18th, that's a window of time where you're going to be in the relationship with someone's Saturn conjunct your Sun. And I already have that person. So that's going to be my personal experience. And, we will see how it goes. Just as you will see how it goes for you. Do you feel limited or restricted? Do you feel like there is someone putting up a boundary to you? Or anything Saturnian? Or do you actually feel like, darn, this feels good. This is so, I feel much more stable around this story. All these things. I want to know your experience from this kind of relationship. And maybe you will grow from this. Saturn deals with maturity. Maybe you will mature, although I don't like to use that word because it sounds... no. I have my own thoughts about it, but... anyway. So I do want you to be thinking about that. Considering it, marinating on it. So that when that time comes, actually, okay, so, change my mind now. I'm going to sit down if you all don't mind. So, so half of the lunar cycle starting on May 19th, you'll be with your, nodal soulmate. I've chosen Deborah Silverman. Then, assuming you know what I'm talking about, then you'll have a break between June 2nd, June 3rd, I think the full moon in Sagittarius is on June 3rd, I think. From June 3rd through June 16th. Starting on June 17th, you're going to be with the Saturn conjunct your Sun person. And it may or may not be more difficult. I also want you to take into consideration the other factors that are playing around in the natal chart, because it isn't just your north node is on their south node and vice versa. It could be other things ancestors. So that's also really, really important to take into account. It isn't just that one, piece of the puzzle. That's what the goal is for this. That's the intention of doing this is to be in a relationship with somebody whose south node is on your north node and vice versa. But it can also be the other factors that play out in their chart. And Deborah Silverman and I have so much in common, and what is in common about us on the nodal side of things is that my north node is on, her south node is on my north node. So we do have that in common. Realize if you have your, north node is on someone's south node, then you are more in common, and you can come together with that person more. You're more drawn and pulled toward them. But if your south node is on their south node, well, probably, I don't know, I don't want to make any assumptions again, but it may feel kind of same old, and it may, you feel like, gosh, I'm swimming around in a tank and I'm not getting anywhere. Felt the same thing with Jessup Bonstetter, who had his south node in the same sign as my south node. Oh my goodness, it was like a mirror being reflected back to me about how I talked and how I presented myself. And I began to get a little, annoyed by that. And I was drawn away from it to realize you have more in common. People have more in common if their south node, if one person's south node is on the other's north node, instead of the south node being in the south node, because, and you may have something in common, but you will probably be like magnets. Magnets are, they repel one another. It comes down to science. Comes down to like a proton and forget the whole thing about protons and electrons coming together, One has a positive charge, the electron has a negative charge, the proton and the electron come together, boom. I think the proton and the proton repel each other, the proton and neutron, kind of neutral, that whole thing. So, it's like that, it's like an atom, where the electron and proton come together, they merge. They're drawn to one another because they have something what the other does not. And they're here to learn, and they're here to also teach that other person. The anima of that relationship. Now, I'm not saying that that's it. I'm not saying this is the case every time. I don't want to make any assumptions that this is how it is all the time. But I do believe that's very much like I described. So, so think of it like that. Think of it like, an atom. How an atom is, set up. So, half of the time that, the nodal soulmate person for me, I've already decided, is going to be, Deborah Silverman. I've made my decision. I'm very, very, very clear about the decision that I made. And then the person whose Saturn is on my sun, you already know who that is. So, really getting to really challenging stuff in synastry. And we may even do natal nodes square your natal nodes. I don't know if you can remember Mr. Tyson, who came to the Amenten. His south node was in Aquarius, north node in Leo. Aquarius and Leo are both square to Taurus and Scorpio. Squares provide challenge, they provide, there's attention, but growth can come out of it. From the truth that he gave to me about not doing so well on a test, I grew from that, even though he was giving me the fifth degree, as he gave Colin, my friend, the fifth degree multiple times. Now, I have a whole bunch of things to say about that, believe me. So, anyway, yeah, so, what to do with the time that we have remaining. We're going to see how the semifinals turns out. The finals is not going to be until around the times that the nodes change signs. Found out the date. It is supposed to be July 15th. That's supposed to be the date. Maybe something else. I'm pretty sure that is the date that they have decided on for the finals. I do feel very strongly like this summer is going to be another spiritual summer. In the summer of 2021, I have a lot of nostalgia for that time period. And I'm really becoming more open to oracle cards now. I think I'm considering getting those things out. And using them again. I'm really thinking of doing that. I'm also allowing myself the option of making an astrology forecast about a new moon, full moon, or eclipse, and pulling a card. That's also something that I would like to do. And pull my own interpretation into that card. Possibly, embellish it, tie it into the astrology. I have tried doing single oracle reading videos where I've just pulled the card, and I just do not have the expertise and the insight that Colette Reed does. I don't. Here's another thing. Owning Authenticity, or Carly is her name, from Owning Authenticity. I highly recommend that you watch, follow her series on the North Node in Aries. She's breaking it down. She's doing a series of really in-depth videos over this transit. I highly recommend that you watch these videos. Because there's, she is so brilliant. Has so much insight. And so much heart and depth into what she talks about. So I highly recommend that you go, watch her videos. Because, she is really right up my alley when it comes to the kind of astrologer that I my personal preference. Right up my alley. That's what I would say. Almost, maybe, hitting the spot. I feel like when I watched her for the first time, she really hit the spot for me. And, you can have a bunch of astrologers, but maybe one really, it's home. Now, Deborah Silverman is the first astrologer that I've ever followed. Again, both in. But, anyway, when she comes to the Amenten, and she can decide whether or not she wants to do this, but it will be an honor to welcome her to my Amenten. I really want to have her go through Colette Reed's oracle cards and describe the meanings of those cards, the spiritual meanings of those cards. And, and do a whole series of videos where she is describing the cards and what they mean in the way that she does. So that's an idea that I'm thinking about. Probably we're looking at perhaps, I don't know, I mean, at this point it may be a while. So I'm thinking, oh gosh, maybe July, perhaps, possibly right after we get done with the finals on July 15th, I think I'm going to have her come to the Amenten. And then, later in the month, Kelly Rosano will be arriving when Venus in the sky turns retrograde. And Colette Baron Reed is, very different from the closer custom in nature. Similar, but she is what's known as a custom initiator. She initiated the customs and the, and nostalgia that I have for 2 summers.